Today we have Isaac on this episode, and he gets to share his journey with us.
My name is Isaac Wambua. I am an administrator at Gotv, and I am paraplegic. Yes, that's the term. Paraplegic. Yes, that means that I have paralysis of the lower limbs. Yes, so basically legs. Yes.
And when did the condition occur?
The condition occurred in 2008, November. I had an accident, a road accident. I was traveling from Nairobi to Thika, then had an accident and injured my spine. Yes. So when I had the accident, immediately I felt I could not move my legs. Then there was a lot of pain on my back. Then I was taken to hospital. Stayed in hospital for about 2 months. Then I was discharged to go and continue resting from home. Yes.
So when the news was, broken to you that you have this condition, what was your immediate response or your reaction to the news?
Before even the doctor broke out the news, when I got the injury, I thought maybe it's just something that can be corrected once I went to hospital. So at first, I was just thinking once I go to hospital, maybe I'll get surgery, and after some time, I'll resume using my legs. So I wasn't scared at first. I was like, this is happening, this is where I am, so let's see what happens. Then I was taken to Kenyatta Hospital. Then on the 4th day, I had the MRI done. And from where I was sleeping, as I was passing, I could see the MRI screen. So I saw that my back wasn't looking good, that the backbone had been crushed, one of the discs had been crushed, and it had pressed the spine. So it didn't look good. So I was like, hey, this looks not as easy as I thought it would be. So after that is when the doctor came and he told me he had seen the MRI images, and he told me that my chances of walking again would be 15% or less. So it was a shock. It's something you're never prepared for. But then again, I think out of experience, before I got the accident, when I was younger, when I was in high school, I was a member of the CU, and we used to do hospital visits. And one of the hospital visits we did was to the spinal injury hospital. And when we went there, we met a guy who was paralyzed from the shoulders down. And he was telling us he had been like that for 3 years. So I knew when I was told that I would probably never walk again, I still knew it could be worse. Because at least I could use my hands, I could learn to play guitar, piano, I could do so many things. But there are people who cannot do the much I can do. That particular person could not even waft off a fly if it came to his nose. He couldn't feed himself. So there was still something grateful that I could be grateful for. So as much as it was shocking, I said it could be worse. It could always be worse. Yes.
So how did the society take it? For example, your family and friends, how did they, take the news that now you have changed, you are not the same person as you were before?
My family and friends were very supportive. They have really worked with me in this journey. Though, you see, it's said that it's only in hard, difficult times that you realize who your real friends are. Yeah? So I lost some friends along the way, but I also gained some. It reached a point I cannot tell whether, you see, as much as this was a downside in my life, I don't regret. Because I've gained friends who I know I wouldn't have gained if I didn't go through what I actually went.
It's actually a challenge because people don't want to be associated with the bad part of you. But we know that friends should be there for good and for the worst. And so in some instances, why people will leave you is because they'll see you as a burden. They see you like you always be dependent. They see you like you will not give them what they want. And in some ways, they see you like you are not a normal person like they are. So they think that you cannot have fun with them. You don't have a life like any other person. So that is why to some extent that you shall find that people will neglect persons with disability. But we would wish that the society may give them an opportunity and make them have equal opportunities with them where these people can feel they are normal and they feel encouraged, they feel that they are part of the society.
And since your life changed, did it become hard for you to, get your voice heard out there if you wanted to, major or focus on a certain point in your life and you had to voice, you wanted your voice to be heard? How was it? Did the society entrust you with decision making or did they just blow it off?
At first, I think it was challenging, because one, this is not something you're used to, and to start off maybe from the perspective even from the family setting, I think we need to have counseling sessions when something tragic like that happens. The whole family needs to be counseled because you see they're not used to you in that particular condition. So the people around you need also to undergo some counseling. So like when I got the accident and I was in bed for like 6 months, so you'd find we'd argue with my mom over things like even feeding. She used to feed me like 6 times a day. And you see, my movement is limited. So my digestive system was a bit slow. So I'm always feeling full. Then when I refuse to eat, I'm told I don't want to get well. It becomes an argument. I'm not appreciating the support I'm getting. People are making so much effort and I'm not appreciative. But you see, there was nothing wrong with my stomach. And you're not using a lot of energy. So I was not getting hungry. You're always in bed. So she would say I'm being rude just because I've said I'm not going to eat. I'm not hungry. And I've never had an issue with eating. I think I love food. I'm a foodie. So yeah, but now you see this change. Simple decisions like that. Feeding, when to eat, what to eat. You'd find her giving me bone soup. And at times it had a lot of fat. And it makes you feel a bit of nausea. But at the same time, she's like, you're not eating it because you're enjoying it. It's for you to get better. So such things made me feel powerless. Times like even simple things like when to sleep, when to take a bath. You see, now you have to adjust your life to somebody else's program. When you want to go places, again, you must fit according to somebody else's program. So when you're used to an independent life and now this happens and you need to change, it becomes a bit difficult because now you have to rely on people. Because again, this happened when I was an adult. I was used to being independent. I was used to doing things for myself. So having now to rely on people, to ask them for help, to ask them to do things for you, it was not easy. And in fact, even when I was being discharged from hospital, that's one of the things I wondered, how is life going to be? Because you can't even wash yourself. Back then I couldn't even wash myself. I couldn't turn myself in bed. I had to be turned 3 times a night so that I don't get bed sores. So you see, these are simple things that you used to do. In fact, the first experiences, the first things I missed when I got the injury was that I didn't go to the loo for a long haul for 2 weeks and I was feeding really well. So I just missed how simple, you see, you don't even think of going to the loo. Yani, you usually just go, enter that, open the door, do your thing, you relax. But now you're here, you're feeding, and you start wondering, so how does this process actually work? What is involved? Do I need to try moving a certain muscle for this process to take place? So I'd ask the nurse for a bedpan because I'm feeling my stomach is bloated, like it's stuffed, it's full. But now whenever the bedpan comes, I try pushing, nothing comes out. So I thought maybe my stomach was going to burst at some point. So those are the small things I really missed. Just being able to do things for yourself. Then even things like how do you move your toe? How do you get your leg to move when you want it to move? Because now I started thinking, suddenly it dawned on me, these things just don't happen. Because you see, when you're okay, you just say, let's go, and somehow you don't have to tell your legs, you just find yourself standing up and going. Now this one, I was being told, try move your toe. So I look at the toe, how does this toe really move? I'm trying to concentrate. I'm like, which muscles do you contract or relax for the toe to move? It became mechanical for me. So that whole experience, and it was quite frustrating because I'm putting a lot of effort, I'm almost sweating, and then I asked the doctor, has it moved? They're like, no, not even an inch. It's there, you're concentrating. Nothing, doesn't move. So it was a bit challenging, but again, with time, you get to accept the situation. You get to accept that you can't do certain things that you used to do for yourself, and you learn to ask for help, and also to cope with people and to be patient and so many other things.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
Afisas, nina criminal ameniibia kitu kwa nyumba.
Funga hii twende ofisa. Fande bufungua hapa. Simkule ka breakfast kidogo alafu twende. Simshakula evidence. Ati nini? Exhibit mumekula. Nitoripiwa?
Sinijia alikuwa ameiva. Tumekula exhibit.
Selector, the difference is in the taste. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
So before you got to learn, on how to cope with people, did you at a point feel like a burden? And did you go through, any traumatic experiences? Did you get depressed? Did you get stigmatized?
I didn't get depressed. I thank God for that. I think what helped me is that there are three things I learned also back in high school. One was to believe in God and putting God first. And just a month or two before the accident, I had gone to a certain church and I learned a certain song that when be still, when the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will be still and know that you are God. So that song really helped me, that even when there are storms, because at some point I wanted to be, I even thought, hey God, I'm praying you, I'm trusting you, this shall be well, I'm a believer, I'm going to get well, I just need to pray and all shall be well. But it reaches a point you prayed for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, nothing is changing. So you tend to think God is not listening to my prayers. You even ask yourself, is there a God? Is God, exactly, your faith, is God for real? Then, or he doesn't care. And you see, I think those are the things that lead to depression. But then at the end of the day, I thought to myself, even if you decided to declare that there is no God today, it does not change who he is. He'll still remain being God. Whether or not he answers your prayers, it doesn't change him. He still remains God. Whether or not you're walking, whether or not you get healed, it won't change him. So the sooner you accept the situation, and I always say, mbaya mbaya. So you have to deal with it. So that got me to change my perspective and know that this is something I have to deal with. Then the other thing that helped me was the support of the family. Then when I was younger in high school, in campus, I also played rugby. And with rugby, it taught me a lot of endurance. So you can basically take on life, those tough times, you can endure. As much as at sometimes it's tiring, you feel like giving up. So you can't give up. You just have to keep on pushing on and trying your best.
So how is it when you're trying to initiate or maintain a relationship with someone or maybe the society as well?
Wow. Relationships, I think, are tricky. They're tricky, especially nowadays. I was in a relationship when I got the accident, and we dated for about 3 years. Then we broke up. One of the reasons, I think, we are all not, as I said, I think counseling is a very important part when life changes, because this is a new life that I was not used to, and I'm fighting my own battles of dealing with this situation. What does my future look like? I had just graduated. Like a week before, I had gone for an interview. When I was in hospital, I'm being called, we've given you the job. When are you going to report? Then I start telling this guy that I'm not able to report. I'm in hospital. Then 2 weeks later, he still calls. Isaac, how are you doing? Are you able to come to work? And I'm still not able. I tell him now, I think we'll just have to look for somebody else, because I think I'm going to be out for some time. So then you see, even this person that you're in a relationship with, they knew you when you were different. You could run, you could go places, you could do things, I was strong, I could carry this person, so many things. So now you cannot do these things. And you're not even, the future is suddenly uncertain. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know whether you'll be able to work again. You don't know whether people will accept you. So it was a battle. And this other person is also having their questions. I'd seen maybe a future with this guy. We'd be taking our kids places. Now he might be somebody I'll have to take care of. So, and I did not sign up for that. So it becomes a challenge.
Isaac's girlfriend of 3 years left him after the life-changing occurrence. Was her decision irrational, or was she dealing with unexpected trauma?
I think it's both irrational and unexpected trauma. Having dated a man who was okay, and then suddenly something happens. She's having a lot of questions in her mind. How will the future prospects be? How will the society, acknowledge this? My parents, my friends, how will they take it? Like, I'm dating a person with disability. It's also irrational in that she cannot see that it could have happened to her. And the question is, would have Isaac probably reacted the same? And this kind of an occurrence that comes affects the person way of looking at things.
So do you receive any help from the government?
Yes, I have received help from the government. When I was doing my master's, I got education assistance. I got about 40,000 shillings to help in paying my tuition fees. Yes, and there's a time I used to get subsidies for assistive devices. So you get a discount when you are acquiring assistive devices. So that is the help I've been able to receive. Then there's also something else that the government is doing that according to the law, the government institutions, parastatals, private bodies, they're supposed to reserve 5% of the employment positions for persons with disabilities. So I think I'm a beneficiary of that 5%. Yes.
Yeah, so are there any challenges that you get to face in your environmental, your workplace?
My workplace?
Yeah.
Yes, there are challenges, not even just in my workplace, but in the country in general. Because one of the things that immediately I experienced, which was a challenge after the accident, was like transportation in Kenya is a big challenge to persons with disabilities. Using matatus, it's a challenge. When you're using a wheelchair, when you're using crutches and you can't walk for long distances, it is a challenge. So at first I used to hire a taxi or just to look for a friend to take me maybe for physiotherapy, or when I started working, to take me to work. And it's expensive. It's quite expensive. So that was a challenge, because again, using matatus, now let's say your home is far from the bus terminus. Getting to the bus terminus again is a challenge. So that is a challenge. And then you find that even the environment, some buildings don't have ramps, they don't have lifts, even there's no pedestrian walkway. You have to walk on the main road. Even like when you're walking in the streets are full of people. So when you're using crutches or a wheelchair, you go bumping into people. So it is a challenge. But I'm glad that with continued awareness creation, people are making ramps, they're doing things to improve the environment and to make transportation and life easier for persons with disabilities.
So as we wind up, what's your advice to persons with disabilities?
As we wind up, my advice would be to encourage you to accept yourself. You have a challenge, accept yourself that this is where you are at in life. This is what you're going through. These are the challenges that you're facing. And after you've accepted yourself, you develop a positive attitude. Don't be bitter about life. They say when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Yeah, though at times it's not easy, but you see, even if you're bitter, if you decide to be negative, it doesn't improve the situation. So I think it's better to adopt a positive attitude. Be ready to accept help. Also, one of the challenges, I think disability is not a challenge. The biggest disability is poverty. So try to empower yourself, because once you're empowered, the sky is the limit. There's this guy, he was a physicist, what's his name? I tend to forget his name. But he's a world-renowned physicist. And he was using a wheelchair. He couldn't even talk. He couldn't move. He developed some disease which made his muscles very weak. And now this person, but because he was learned, he was a professor in the university, he was teaching, he was able to give lectures because he was able to get wheelchairs and to get people to assist him and so many things. So he was able to become productive. So try to empower yourself, get skills. If you have talent, try to explore your talent. Be productive in society. Try to look for places you can volunteer. Try to look for ways you can help other people and also contribute to the well-being of society and such things. So that will also help, and you'll be able to, you can achieve so much. You can achieve so much.
Now, as Isaac has shared with us, he has told us that disability is something that can find you anywhere, at any place, at any time. So we ought to be grateful for life irregardless. Now, that's all that we had for you here today on Beyond the Limit. I am Mothoni Minor. Till next Saturday, sayonara.